And Ramachandra from the NR Media, NR Hour, back with another episode. Happy Friday. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving. Man, a lot of things happening. The holidays are almost here, and I'm here with my co-host, Jeremy Fishman. Go follow him on all social media formats, and we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the podcast platforms. And fans, everybody knows about the Spreaker app. You can join that on my phone. We can answer fans' questions if they have time, if the guest has time. And we are live with Shawn Riggans. He is a former MLB catcher, played with most of his career with the Tampa Bay Rays, who were Yankee killers back in the day. And he was a great catcher. He was known for his defense, and he brought some offense to the Tampa Bay Rays lineup also. And he played with some great players in that Tampa Bay team, and he reached the World Series in '08 when they played against the Philadelphia Phillies. Unfortunately, they fell short, but they got to their goal, which was the World Series. And what a great career, Shawn. And by the way, he's doing big things off the field now. He's coaching the young kids. It's all about the youth, the younger
That's it.
generation. He has a thing called Kings of Catching. Go follow that on Instagram. He
I
posts
appreciate
videos.
it.
He posts videos constantly with the kids. I love. We share that all the time for him. And man, what a great way to after your career to showcase how to catch for the young kids and whoever wants to be in baseball. So thank you, Shawn, for joining the show. And happy
No
Friday.
problem. Thank you for having me, man. I really
Oh,
appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
how you doing? Good.
Good, good. We're like I was telling you a minute ago, we got our first little cool front down here in South Florida, and everybody's all bundled up. You would think it's about to snow, man.
So Jeremy, want to lead it off?
Yeah, I never thought 70 degrees could feel so cold, but living
Right?
here for a few months now, it's gets to you.
Right?
We appreciate you
Exactly.
coming on. My first
Exactly.
the first question to you is I want you to take us through your baseball journey from how you really got to the game all the way up through honestly your whole career.
So, that with me, in my opinion, is the coolest part of my whole story. I wasn't a standout player at any level really until I got to college. Never, in a nutshell, I never got a single hit in high school. I sat the bench. Kid in front of me was a better player. He was, wasn't one of those deals. The coach didn't like me. The other guy was better. He was doing his thing, and I stuck with it. I grew a little bit later than everybody else. I felt confident in what I was doing. And, I finished high school, like I said, without a single hit, right? And a month and a half later, I walked on at FIU, which, is a big time program down here in South Florida. Mark Calvi, who's the coach at South Alabama right now, was a giant part of getting me over there. Him and Danny Price. And I basically walked over there. And if anybody's listening or watching this, I'm sure there are going to be some guys who are playing. I walked over there and I basically forced their hand to give me an opportunity to walk onto that team. I didn't have any opportunities. And by the time I walked away from the first meeting that I had down there, I had a locker and a number. And I felt like I had climbed a mountain after, like I said, not getting a single hit in high school. Now I'm walking on at FIU. A year or so there, I transferred out. I went to a junior college in Indian River. And from there, my first year, I played exceptionally well. It was the first opportunity that I really had. Coach Mike Eason there was a giant part of my success, and his entire staff. And that was the first year I got drafted. First year I was there, I was drafted in 2000, and then I signed in 2001 after
Wow.
going back for one more year. And 5 years later, I was in the major leagues. Had a few setbacks with Tommy John surgery and another elbow surgery to get some bone chips removed. But it's an incredible story. I mean, sometimes I sit back now and I think about it. And nowadays, you guys are on social media. You see these kids that are out there. These kids are, there's some incredible talent at a very, very young age. It's very rare somebody's not going to do anything in high school now and
Yeah.
continue to move on.
Yeah. I mean, what a story there. And like speaking of and special stories. You were born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and you've been in Florida for your whole life, pretty much. And what was it like for you? How special was it for you to be in being from Florida, staying in Florida, going to college in Florida, high school Florida, and playing for the Rays basically in Florida? So to talk about that and being close to your family and friends throughout your journey.
No, that was a huge part. And just backtracking a little bit, when I was leaving Indian River, I had a few opportunities to go play. One of the main opportunities though was at University of Miami, and that that was a school that I grew up watching the football, the baseball. So I had an opportunity there, which I never got to go play there, but you know that was like a childhood dream. But then moving forward from there, having my friends and my family, my wife, my sister, my dad, everybody where they could come and, watch the games. It was big. My dad, I don't think he missed a single game in college. He drove over there every single game. And hell, he continued to drive all across the country when I was playing in the minor leagues. And to have support like that from my dad and from my wife was there with me the entire time. Through I had some tough times, with the injuries and the setbacks. So it was just it's nice. It's a nice wholesome story. You know what I mean? A local guy growing up here, playing in the state of Florida, and for the younger guys too, like college, everybody wants to come to the state of
Yeah.
Florida to play. Why not? It's got, in my opinion, we have the best sports here,
Yep.
and obviously we have the best. The weather's incredible to do stuff year round. So it's a hotbed for the talent, and yeah, man, I remember playing down at the Marlins Park when I missed a couple of trips there because of injury, and I finally got one in '08, and I think we had like 70 or 80 people there. It was just a great feel that they could experience it too. Yeah, I was playing, but to me, it takes an army to get somebody to the top. And everybody showed up, and it was a great experience. Something I'll never forget for sure.
Hey, when you were healthy, man, you were a gamer on the field, so no one can take that away from you.
Yeah, that was hard to do though, man. It was hard to stay healthy for me, man. It just I was one of those guys, man. I was made of glass, I guess you could say, right?
Speaking of Florida,
Right.
some devastation
Yeah.
to Tropicana Field
Oh
due to the
God.
second hurricane that hit Hurricane Milton.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that whole situation going on? Now they're playing in a minor league park for their division rival. Like, if you
Right.
were playing then, how would you be reacting right now?
So, some things we in life we really don't have any control over. Um, the trop getting destroyed like that is one of those things that, you know, people lost their lives. There's something a lot bigger than Tropicana, being affected. I get obviously what you're asking, but that was such an unfortunate event. And the fact that the Rays are able to relocate, are they going to be playing at Steinbrenner?
Yeah.
So, the fact that they're able to do that to me just shows you how strong baseball is. I'm sure the Yankees were on the phone with them instantly, telling them, hey, listen, don't worry, we have your back. And that to me is, a great story in itself because, like I said, it was very unfortunate for those people over there. I actually got together with a good buddy of mine, Zach, at Cooper City Optimist, and we got a bunch of stuff together and brought it over to St. Pete to one of the local little leagues over there that was destroyed. They lost everything. I think they had like 10 feet of water in their facility. The first hurricane, the second one, the wind destroyed it. So, but it hits home, you guys, because the Trop. That's where I played. I played my Major League Baseball career there pretty much, and you don't want to see that happen. There's tons of memories there for everybody and for the people that work there. Think about the people that are employed, what it does for the city. It does so much. It's a negative impact all around, and it's hard to really shed good light on that deal.
And I know Pinellas County is not happy that they are playing in Tampa. They wanted him in like Clearwater or Dunedin.
Right.
So it's just I'm hoping for the best for the organization. You know, hopefully they find success in Tampa, and I'd love to see them actually move into Tampa. And
Yeah, that. Hey, you know, listen, it's you put a place where the people are. Let's just take the Tampa Lightning, for instance. You know, they're very accessible. Everybody gets off of work. You know, you shoot over to the game. The team's good. They draw well. It's a good atmosphere. Man, I feel that the Rays could really do something like that. You know, obviously it's going to be hard to take them away from where they were, but you know, sometimes change is good. You know, and they just haven't, you know, brought the people in, man. You got to put people in the seats, and the Rays have been a good product now for a long time, you know. And it's, to me, it's time, you know, get these guys up at, you know, their own place, and I think Tampa would be a great spot, you know, to put it. You know, it's proven. Look at the Bucks, look at the Lightning. You know, people are coming out, man. That's where everybody's at.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit. Jeremy's correct. I mean, you got a Tampa Bay needs a they need a full they need a new fresh start, in my opinion, with the new stadium, and hopefully that
Definitely.
happens in Tampa. And we do have a fan question on my phone on the app on the speaker app.
All
One
right.
of our fans wants to know, you play with some pretty interesting characters on the Tampa Bay Rays. Funny how which that brought swag to the team. Like for example, we just mentioned Matt Garza, who was on the show also. But talk about one of our fans wants to know who was the funniest teammate that you played with in Tampa Bay.
The funniest,
Yeah.
man, there was a lot. There was a lot of comedians, you know. Um, but I would say one of the funniest guys though that I played with, it was a guy in the minor leagues, man. This guy, his name was Mike Prochaska, and I'm sure I might have missed a few other people, but this guy was hilarious. You know, he just always, you know, he brought a smile to your face. You know, you never know what he was gonna say. In the big leagues, I'm gonna be honest. You know, we came up, so many of us guys, we came up together that it was more of like a family. You know, it was like a disgruntled family. You know, we all got along good. It was a bunch of younger guys. But everybody had their moments. You know, everybody had their moments. You know, it's not really one guy in particular that I would say that was just like a standout, you know, comedian. But you know, it was more of a group effort. I know Pat Burrell, I would say, is up near the top though. Pat
Mhm.
Burrell was a funny guy, man. He another guy brought a lot of light to every single situation, you know. And Pat was around. He's been around for a long time, so he was enjoyable to be around.
Yeah, what a great player he was too.
That's it. Yeah. He beat us in '08 and then joined us, I guess, there in '09, you know.
Yeah.
you got to play for one of the smartest organizations in baseball with Tampa, and also for one of the smartest coaches of the time with Joe Madden. Talk
Hmm.
about playing for him, and what are some of your best moments from that?
You know, Joe Madden, to me, he was the backbone, you know, really of the change of the culture there. We had Lou Piniella before. Lou was great. I love Lou Piniella. You know, he was awesome. You know, I have nothing bad to say about him. He was real funny too, by the way. For that guy asking the questions, Lou Piniella, he's near the top of the list too. But you know, when Joe came in right away, you know, it was, you know, your 25th man was as important as your number one guy.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was strength in numbers. You know, we had that 9 = 8, the whole, you know, that whole deal. And, you know, people started buying into that. And it started in spring training that year, '08. It started in spring training. And, you know, it was like we were sick of losing, and we had the guys that can go out and compete. And you know, Joe put people in a situation to succeed, and that is, to me, being a good major league manager or manager at any level. You have to know your team. Joe Madden took pride in knowing the guys, understanding them, and then he took that, and then he was able to apply that into the lineup, and it just worked. You saw so many guys coming up clutch, and to me, it wasn't just by luck. Joe knew what you were good at, and maybe what you weren't so good at, and he would make those calls, and that we got on a roll like that, and everybody started believing, and we had the arms too, you
Yeah.
guys. Our pitching was there. The defense, we had Carl Crawford in the outfield. I don't know if that guy, I've ever seen that guy drop a ball like that. That guy was, BJ. We had a ton of guys out in right field. Then we bring in great guys like Cliff Floyd,
Yeah.
huge piece. Cliffy, another funny guy there, man.
He was on
And
the we had him on the show actually
oh,
two
I
years
love Cliff.
years
Yeah,
back.
Cliff lives right down the street.
Yeah.
Cliff's a great guy. What an incredible presence. A guy that you could go to for anything. Been there, done it. Easy to approach. Just he was a great guy. But like I said, man, Joe changed that whole deal for us right away. And him and his staff, they were incredible. They put the pieces together and they made it work. And our owners, those guys, God, if I could get in their mind for a second, they had something with the algorithm now. They had a point here, a point there, different to bring in guys, and the people, they shine. You can't deny that. You know what I mean? And Andrew Friedman, another guy. It seemed like when you walked in the locker room, you guys, you could go and talk to anybody, and you didn't have to feel like, oh, I can't go talk to, like, you could go talk to anybody. It was a very open, laid back. It was stress free. Just go out and play, and that works at that level, especially. But you got to know your players, and if not, there's just too much disconnect, you guys, and at a high level, it's not going to work.
Yeah, speaking of Andrew Freeman, I don't. Ever since he went, look what he's doing with the Dodgers too. Like, oh my God, they're spending crazy money and putting an all-star team together. Obviously, they won the World Series this year, and now they're not stopping. They're going to keep going and keep putting players together. And
Yeah,
look, they're in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, so you never know what's going to happen there. But I mean, to talk about Andrew
incredible.
Freeman transforming the Dodgers coming from the Rays and going to the Dodgers, it's crazy to see what he's doing.
Yeah, and it is. It's two opposite ends of the spectrum with the market, and but when you're a winner, you're a winner. You're a winner. You know what I mean? You can go anywhere, and you bring that winning atmosphere and that tradition. And like I said, people buy in. You can't. Baseball's difficult to buy a championship. You still have to go out there and make plays. He puts the right people in place, and to me, you know, I look at the Dodgers like this. Like, yeah, they were incredible, all that, but the team chemistry was incredible for having all sorts of superstars. It looked like they were, a 10U team out there at a perfect game tournament, just having a blast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And usually when you have a bunch of stars like that, you guys, in my opinion, sometimes there can be disconnect, but it didn't. They're going to be hard to beat, man. Good luck. Good luck. And their pitching's there too. Ohtani coming back. Good luck.
That whole rotation was decimated going into the playoffs, and they still
Right.
they just won. That's all there was to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And their defense
Oh my God.
is, yeah, there wasn't a spot on the field, in my opinion, that they were inferior in the playoffs, in that World Series. Their defense was incredible, and that came up big too. You know.
Speaking of defense, you
Mm-hmm.
played one of the most analytical positions in any sport, really,
Right.
being a catcher, and I think you see it now more than ever with all the analytics that we have available to access. What are your thoughts on kind of how the catcher position has shaped up since the time you played up until now, with it being heavily relying on framing?
God, you know what? And I know some of the old guys are gonna see this, but man, I love it. I love it. It just sheds a lot more light. Like, think about this, like 10 years ago, there's even, besides, Yadi Molina and like the other giant name guys,
Mhm.
you weren't hearing of any catchers.
Right.
Now, like, if you're a good receiver, like, they talk about you all the time. They like shed light on the position. So I like it. And to me, you know, the catcher equation for success is receive, block, and throw. So if you can improve that receiving and get 1 or 2 strikes, you know, especially against a 3 or a 4 hole hitter at that level, and it flips the count around to your advantage, well, that's gigantic, you guys. You guys know that. I mean, you're into the numbers. You watch the games. If I can hit at 2-1 rather than 1-2, it makes me that much better. So the stealing of the strikes, I'm sure the umpires hate it. But remember, the definition of a strike is a pitch at a given height
Yep.
crossing over the plate. That's the definition of a strike. It doesn't have anything to do with how the guy catches it. So to me, some guys make it more difficult, and there's value there with that. Before, it used to be give the guy the best look. You know what I mean? And now it's almost you're trying to trick them into calling a strike, which if you can do it, do it. Sucks when you're hitting, but you're catching it. I really like it, you guys. I love the one knee. And I personally feel that anything can be done down on one knee. Anything. As long as your setup is good and you're athletic. I wish I was playing and I could have done it, because I would be down there the whole time, personally.
Follow up to that. I'm sorry, Nathan,
Oh, you go. Yeah.
but I assume you're not a big fan of the potential robo strike zones that are
Yeah.
potentially coming in.
I think that they could, like, instead of just going like straight to that, I think maybe like give everybody like a challenge or two,
Yeah.
and have like the earpiece for the umpire where it's, hey, yeah, that was a strike, or hey, that's a ball. Something like that, I think would be better. Just going like straight away from it, taking away the receiving. I feel like the receiving now is like the one of the coolest things to watch with the catching. I think you eliminate that, and it's like, damn, okay, so then these catchers better start hitting more. If you're going to take that away, you better find some guys that are going to be, able to put up some numbers instead of taking them away there.
I think catcher just becomes like first base at that point if it was just
Yeah.
taken away. You get a guy who has the strength to sit back there for 9 innings and then let them swing the bat.
Yep. Exactly. Let them hit the ball over the fence. And if you're not left-handed, like being a catcher now, it's like, dang, man, it's getting tough, man. For at least for the catching position, being a left-handed hitter is such an advantage. If you're right-handed, you got to hit the ball over the fence, and that's the end of the story. That's what they want now.
We have another fan question here. They want to know some of the toughest pitchers you had to face throughout your career.
Toughest pitch was probably for me was Josh Beckett and AJ Burnett.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Those guys, I felt like they were just throwing a bullpen when I was standing in there. I couldn't see the ball well off them. Most other people couldn't either, so I felt all right. They were difficult. Beckett and Burnett both were big, huge guys too. When they release the ball, they're right up on top of you. 4 pitches, they can all throw for strikes. Those were the guys that were toughest for me, and we faced them all the time.
Yeah.
So I would see them. You see them a lot, and it just never got any easier.
Yeah, Beckett. I mean Burnett. In his Toronto Blue Jays days, he was it was unhittable. But when he came to the Yankees, he looked in his first year he was good. Help us win the World Series. But the next couple of years, I don't know what happened. But in the Toronto Blue Jays days, unbelievable with Roy Halladay, with the late Roy Halladay, rest in peace.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was another great one. And but him and Roy Halladay, seeing them play off each other, it was crazy to see.
Yeah, they did. They did well there, man. Toronto had a good team back then. When we were playing 08, 09, they were tough, man. They had some good players, but those guys, were tough for me. And then there was other guys, that were out on the West Coast. I remember facing like Felix Hernandez in the minor leagues, and that was a chore. Oh God, he was like 19. I think we were in High A. It was in like Inland Empire, if I'm mistaken. And that was another tough at bat there.
Yeah, he just got nominated for the Hall of Fame for next year.
Yeah, saw that.
Yeah,
he should get it, man. He was a horse.
Yeah,
he was a horse.
You make it to game 5 of the World Series and it doesn't go your way. What's the immediate feeling back in the clubhouse after that game? And, everyone's packing up their stuff. You're not going to see each other for a while. What was your thoughts on it? And, kind of just the overall atmosphere in there.
So, when that was over, to me, I'm curious if they would have let the Yankees and the Phillies play in that weather that we played in. And look, they beat us. They beat us. Hats off to them. I mean, we're out there. You're running in the World Series, and there's puddles splashing off of your shoes. Like you play the whole season to do that, and I'm like, so, you know, like I said, we were all big boys, so we lost. But God, man, to play just to run that back one more time, was we weren't happy. I know that everybody wasn't happy. We weren't happy, obviously, with the outcome, and we felt like as a team we could have done a better job. And remember, they played in the same conditions too, and they beat us. But God, that was tough. That was odd to me. It was odd to me. You don't see that. Imagine if that happened this year. You know what I mean? You tell me that those two teams right there are going to go play in a torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Sure. You know what I mean? That's not true. So, but like I said, we were definitely frustrated. I felt like, we had a team to win that deal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they felt like they had a team to win too, and they made plays and they pitched well. So, oh, that's my dog. Sorry about that.
What kind of dog do you have?
A Frenchie, watch. I'll go get her. She's
Yeah,
cool.
let's make the dog.
Yeah, you got to see the dog.
Yeah,
Hold
let's
on,
go.
hold on. Come here, Reese.
Riggans.
Come here, Reese.
Yeah, what? Great episode so far. Let's go.
I'm excited for the dog.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the dog. I can't wait to see my dog tonight. There you go. Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's cool. That's my best buddy right there. I'll tell you what, these dogs, you get so attached to them,
What
They're
kind of
super,
dog is it?
it's
Again?
a Frenchie.
Oh, Frenchie. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a Frenchie. She's cool, man. We've had her now for a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah, we love her to death. You never know. You grow so attached to a dog,
Yeah, I have a dog. Actually, my dog is in Florida right now, so I'm looking forward to seeing her after a long time.
Reese.
We have a golden doodle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are super cool.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I like those. Active?
Yeah, she's active. She loves to walk, and so I can't wait to see her tonight.
Nice, man.
So I want to I want to feed off from Jeremy's question. So tell our fans about the team you had. You guys had a special team in '08, obviously made the World Series run, but I want to talk about the group, and it's a long season. And tell our fans, what did Joe Madden install in that team before the season, and then into the season, and in the middle of the season, and you guys had loaded talent like Carlos Pena, Longoria, Matt Garza, Johnny Gomes, Cliff Floyd, Edwin Jackson, Carl Cobb, you name it. So let's talk about the whole group itself.
We started out good and in '08. And if you remember, like going into the All-Star break, I think we lost 7 in a row.
Yeah.
It was something like that. Like we finished, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Cleveland there, we lost like 7 in a row. And you know what? During that 7-game skid, there was zero panic, and we were breaking for the All-Star break. And man, the vibe and the atmosphere was still good. The coaches, Joe didn't ever wear that on his face. To me, all that kind of runs downhill. If you see panic at the top, well, that, permeates to the rest of the guys. We got back a day before we started playing again and had a workout, and you would have thought we were on a 20-game winning streak, and I think it was that first day right there, boom, we came out, we won the game, and everything just started, rolling from that point forward again. But the mindset and everything, it never changed. There was no, there was no up and down. It was just a consistency because, like you mentioned all the players,
Mhm.
those are all good players. Those are all proven major league players year in and year out. Why, what's the concern? If they've done it every year, they're about to do it again. And they, those guys did. Those guys did, and we pitched. Remember, Shields, Casimir, Jackson, Garza, Price coming in there.
Right.
Art Percival, Wheeler, all these guys that we had. Balfour.
Mhm.
These, JP Howell.
Yeah.
These guys pitched. They pitched their butts off. So when you have that pitching, that's the security blanket. It's a security blanket. We had good defense. um and like I said, Joe just he stayed consistent with that 9 = 8. You know what I mean? At 27 outs too.
Yeah.
Don't you can't give people outs. You can't walk guys. Small little things, but they all add up. Can't turn the lineup over that many times and still be successful. You can't.
See, that's what happened to the Yankees this year in the World Series.
Yeah.
They gave the Dodgers too many
Too
open.
many chances. You can't let Otani hit, 2, 3 times more than he should,
Yeah.
or any of those guys. Freddie Freeman,
My
go
God.
up in the bets, up and down the lineup, whoever. Didn't matter,
Yeah.
you know?
Speaking of giving away outs, I've never seen more infield pop-ups drop than when watching games at the Trop. How the hell do you catch the ball staring at the roof of that place?
You have to see it off the bat. You do. Like, if something catches your eye and, like, you know what I mean, and you don't really catch it off the bat, it's gonna look like a circus play. Um, it happened, man. That was like kind of the deal there with all those rings and the ball hitting there. Uh, I wouldn't say it was a home field advantage, really, because it worked probably it worked against you. Sometimes it worked for you, but yeah, it was difficult, man. It was difficult. I don't think that we were any better though than any other team coming in. So it didn't help us in any way.
I don't know. I see the Yankees play there, and it just infuriates me when the ball is dropped in between first and second base, seemingly every time they play a series.
Yeah, no, I know. I hear you. I hear you. It happens though, man. That happens.
All right. Speaking of the Yankees, what was it like playing in the AL East, facing the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles? Man, obviously this AL East is tougher now with all the teams pretty much competing now. But talk about what was it like being in there, and what made you guys have success against the Yankees, especially? But just talk about the AL East in general.
Well, the AL East typically is, one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest division, year in and year out. Um, the atmosphere in the AL East is, it's electric until everybody, would come to the Trop. At the Trop, half the time, though, when we played the Yankees and the Red Sox, it'd be full of their fans. So it'd still be a good atmosphere. But, it was big games every night. There was no, there's no easy games. These games are tough. You had to grind out, every single out. And to me, that it just makes your team resilient. It makes you resilient. But playing in the AL East, like I said, there's no easy outs. You have to earn everything that you get. Every one of the lineups that you're facing is an all-star lineup. I could go through the lineups when we were playing, and I mean, pick your poison from the top to the bottom. You got Hall of Famers or whatever, guys that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Uh, it was tough. Baltimore was, when we were playing, was on a little bit of a down
Yeah.
swing, I guess you could say, if you want, but still super competitive. Toronto was always in the mix. But you had to go through the AL East. When I was playing, it went through New York and Boston. They were tough. They're always tough, especially at their place. The old Yankee Stadium, I felt was an incredible spot though, man. When we got to go play there, especially the first time you walk out there and you're like the history of this place. and Boston. Boston was my favorite place to play. Fans are right up on top of you. You know, you talk about some comedians, man, in those two places. In Boston, all the fans are funny, man. You have a good time with that. But you know, every game was a big game, man. You know, it's New York, it's Boston, bro. What's better than that in
Yeah.
baseball? You know, come on.
See, like I was at the old Yankee Stadium as a fan, and when they played the Indians in the playoffs, and Java was pitching, he was starting the game, and yeah, so it was, I don't know what year it was, but yeah, I was at Yankee Stadium against the Indians, the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I love that spot, man. You walked in, like the players' entrance in the backside was like a little door, like this little dungeon that you like went down. And as
yeah,
soon as you got in there, like the smell of like the beer, the mold, you know, the hot dogs, and it was like nuts inside. There was like a speedway, but you know, a lot of history out there for sure.
You talked about some of your career injuries earlier in the episode, and I want to ask, what advice would you give to players or kids now that are dealing with injuries? Because it seems like injuries are becoming more frequent across all levels of baseball, especially in like high school. Known a ton of kids getting Tommy John then. So what advice would you give to them?
You need to take more time off. It's you have X number of bullets. Every person has a number, and you don't want to reach your limit too soon because you know these games that these kids are playing at the low, you know, 9 to 12, 13, 14, what, even through, you know, 10th grade in high school, these games really don't mean that much. They don't mean anything. Like, and these people are like playing this like it's the seventh game of the World Series. It's like you have to rest. There is a lot of young kids, young athletes that are playing as much as a major leaguer.
yeah,
That's that's crazy. It's crazy, and they seek it out. You know, these people seek this out, and I think that the parents enjoy the trips, you know, as much as anything. And you know, that's a big roadblock as well with a lot of the kids' development that they don't, you know, their enjoyment ends up harming the kid. And I know that this is harsh, and some people will be like, "Oh, whatever, this guy, whatever the hell with what he's saying." But it's true. You see it all the time. And it's like the people they'll tell you this. Oh, I don't want little Joey throwing curveballs, and you're like, why? You just had him throw 150 pitches yesterday, but you can't throw one curveball. I mean, where's this common sense there with this? But the issue is gigantic. It's everywhere. I see kids that are in a hard cast from throwing, and the parent basically trying to explain it to me that what happened is very common. And I'm like, no, it's not. You have a hard cast on your arm, like your arm's broke. That's not common. That's not good. You know what I mean? And this is the thought process though. And it's not gonna stop because it's so big. The issue is gigantic. Um, I know the tournaments they try to monitor how much the guys are throwing, but in a nutshell, people need to take more time off. You have to rest. You got to rest. You need to train. You know, when you're getting towards the end of high school, you know where you're going to be at athletically. You know where you're going to be playing. You know, am I a guy that's a possible Division I player or not? And that, to me, it's very simple. You know, just look at your metrics. You know, look at your metrics. Are you a Division I player or not? And if you aren't, can you become one? That's the important time, not to win another ring at 10U, 12U to say you did it. And hats off to the people that do that all the time. That's great. I'm happy for them. You know, I'm sure their son or daughter is a great player, but you know, you have to rest. And if you don't, to me, you're just shortening up your career even more, wasting it at, you know, the youth age rather than, you know, possibly doing something in college and beyond.
Mm. All right. We have another fan question. They want to know your favorite food and drink.
Oh man, my favorite food. You can't go wrong with the ribeye steak, man. You can't go wrong with the ribeye steak. And my favorite drink, like adult drink is tequila because it doesn't put too much weight on you. You know, when you're a little older, you try to keep the weight off. But
Casamigos.
there you go. Casamigos isn't bad. I'm all in on that. A little bit of that, some water and a lime. Not too many though, man. Not too many though. I'm a cheap date. You know what I mean? I'm a cheap date for sure. But that ribeye steak though is the way to go.
Does your wife like tequila?
She does. She does. That's what we usually do that because, like I said, it's the easiest to wake up the next day and it's not going to do too much for the calories.
Yeah, so tell our fans, speaking who should be in the Hall of Fame, Evan Longoria. So talk about how special was it for you to be his teammate in Tampa Bay, and he was a special player, obviously great offensive player and defensive player at the same time. So talk about what was he like as a teammate and playing with him, pretty
Yeah,
much.
you know, Evan was great. It was a big name coming onto our team right there in spring training, and I'll tell you, as soon as he got there, this guy was he was hitting from day one, and it was impressive to watch. Obviously, you know, the defense was there. Evan was the whole package. You know, he spoke well, carried himself well, true professional, made himself accessible to everybody. Um, and you know, he was him along with some of the other guys. You know, they were the face of our organization for a while there. But you know, it's fun to watch. You know, those special players. You know, whether they're on your team or they're on another team. You know, you're still a fan of the game. You know, and seeing what some of these guys do is impressive. Knowing the grind that it takes, and you know, like I said, I still talk with Evan now. You know, I text him every now and then, and he's just been great. You know, great with me from the first day that I met him. I really enjoyed him. Great teammate, and another guy, like I said, that you could go and have access to and talk to him about things, whether it was baseball related or something completely, off topic. So, and that's important. You know, baseball the game of baseball is a short period in your life,
Right.
and how you treat other people and the things that you do are going to be remembered. um, you know Baseball, if you have a 10-year baseball career in the major leagues, you're that's impressive. If you have one day career in the major leagues, it's impressive, but you know there's a lot more to life after that. And you know with Evan, he was such a great guy. Sky's the limit. Who knows what that guy's going to do, off the field. I'm sure there's people reaching out to him to do a bunch of stuff because he's charismatic. He's personalities there. Great guy,
Oh,
great teammate.
yeah. We're trying to we're trying to do something with him too, like reaching out to him and possibly
Okay.
bring him on the show. But yeah, we'll send him this interview so he sees it too.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I'll let him know too that
Oh,
you guys, you got to get on here and talk to you guys. Yeah, you'll enjoy him. He really, he's got a lot to say, man. He's done a lot of cool stuff.
Watching Longoria again play against the Yankees when he was with the Rays was not my favorite thing, but as soon as he left, you just appreciate him so much as
Right.
a player. And as I've gotten older and away from being a little kid who was a Yankee fan to really just appreciating the game of baseball, it's so cool you get to see. And
Mm.
a lot of guys who I didn't get to see were some of the most controversial players, because now that it's Hall of Fame voting season, you get the same question every year. What do you do about the guys accused of steroids, the people who failed the drug test? So I want your thoughts on that, and where do they belong in baseball history?
Let them all in, all of them, every single one of them, because the people they are competing against are cheating too.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's, but you can't, the accomplishments of these players, you can't take that away. And I feel that it's hard to have a perfect system. There's no such thing, really. You know what I mean? There's always going to be that but, and well, this guy, so let them in. Let them in. Barry Bonds, in my opinion, is the best hitter ever. I know, Pete Rose just passing away. Pete Rose needed to be in the Hall of Fame. Um, yeah, he made a mistake. There's other guys that make mistakes in life. You know what I mean? You're gonna crucify somebody, and just and blow them off. Pete Rose was huge for the game. Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire put this game, and Sammy Sosa put this game back on the map, and it is today what it is because of them.
Yeah.
Just for the younger people out there that don't want to believe that, well, that's a fact. So, and I don't know like all the ins and outs of everybody's drug testing results and all this stuff, but I do know that you can fail for performance enhancing drugs for things that to me, you know, they 162 games is a long time, you guys, and that beats your body up. It's just like taking some pre-workout. If you're going to the gym, you take some pre-workout. They're not allowed to do that. Like so you have let's just say whatever, you're like the hell with it all today, whatever. I lift, I take a little next thing you know, you get popped. Oh, he's a steroid user. And now that guy can't get into the Hall of Fame. Like that to me just that's crazy, man. That's crazy. And a lot of the guys are the big names in baseball, let them in, man. It's I don't know, that shit's frustrating because the people that they're holding off are horses,
Yeah.
horses. So I think let them in. All the steroid and this and that. You know, there's a lot of people that are guilty. And I don't think anybody had a halo over their head. And you're naive as shit if you believe that. So let them in. Let them in. Let
And
them
you
in.
do you think of the context of baseball history? You go through the strike and the game was almost dead. You
Mhm.
come back and now you have players hitting 60, 70 home runs in a season. It's like the commissioner knew what was going on. Everyone in baseball knew it was gone.
Of course.
They needed that to save the game, and the Hall of Fame is there to tell a story. So I've always been a big believer of letting them in. And I think eventually with these committees, you'll see some of the big guys get in, and especially as you get younger voters in there, they'll start letting a lot of the guys in.
Yeah.
But do you think it had something to do with some of these guys are not always the nicest to the media? You think of Barry
Well,
Bonds and Kurt Schilling in particular.
100%. You know, but see the thing is, so and it's so subjective, you guys, because like those guys being nice to the media, and I get what you're saying 100%. But there's so much backstory, like with all of that. You know, people don't just wake up usually and they're like, "Oh, the hell with this person." There has to be a little bit more behind it. So those guys need to make themselves accessible. The guys that are at the top, people want to hear from them, and I get that. But you know after you run somebody through the mud enough, you know what I mean, even if they're not gonna lash out, like enough is enough. And then once the door's shut, the door's shut. There's only so much, you know what I mean, there's only so much that a grown man can take before they're going to shut you off. And I don't think it definitely affects them, but that shouldn't, because it's about the numbers. It's about the numbers. You know what I mean? There's parameters that you need to meet. If you meet those parameters, whether you like me or love me or hate me, you gotta acknowledge the fact that this is what I did.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think they should give everybody the respect, and whoever like the big time players, whoever had great careers, they made mistakes, and
Right.
they're doing great things now off the field. So hopefully they have to let everybody in. But I want to
Yeah.
transition real quick to your Kings of Catching, and tell our fans, when did you start that? And it's great to see you helping out the youth and teaching them the art of catching and how to become a great catcher. So talk about all that, and what's that been like for you?
So, Kings of Catching, we came up with it. We're going like 5 or 6 years now. Um, I actually, one of my first guy that I ever trained, his name is Caleb Roberts. He's double A with Arizona Diamondbacks, the catcher. His dad, Lenny Roberts, his dad reached out to me and was like, hey, would you mind working with my kid? And I wasn't working with anybody. I said, sure, So I went out there, we started working, and I really started to enjoy it, you
Yeah.
know. And one thing led to the next, and you know, now it is what it is today. I'm very fortunate with the opportunities that I've had down here with Kings of Catching, and Kings of Catching is we have an open door. All skill sets, all ages. We have softball, baseball. We do hitting as well, and we don't turn anybody down. It's it's important that I feel that so many people don't lose time in this journey, because the baseball journey, you guys, it's so run down now with people that are just out there to take your money. Okay. And that's in any walk of life, but in baseball, when people do that to you, it sets you back, years, and you don't have that type of time. So if we can impact one kid and make his life easier, well, then we've done our job. And that's really what we want to do. And we're here, like I tell every kid, we're here to find out what you do best, and we're gonna do that all the time. It's not a cookie cutter program. And like I said, I enjoy doing it. It's been great. I also work for the fire department, so that gives me a lot of extra time where I can focus on the baseball as well. And we're here in Western Florida, man. It's a beautiful area. Like I said, we're blessed to have the facility that we do, and it's been a nice ride. It's been a fun journey.
We'll definitely have to check out your place when I'm in. I don't know
Yeah,
about this trip, but maybe the next trip when I come back, I'll definitely make a time to come
for
out,
sure.
be out there. And it's great. Like I said, it's always great to see former players continue throwing out cams. Like for example, the last time when I was in Florida, I helped out with Jamil Weeks, if you know him.
Yep.
Yeah, I helped out with his camp, and he does a great job with his father and obviously his brother. But yeah, so I helped him out there, and then I know Kyle Farnsworth, another guy who was on the show.
Hmm.
Was on the show also, but I connected with Kyle Farnsworth the last time when I was in Florida. He does a lot of camps also for pitching, and it's just remarkable to see you guys continuing to help kids that want to go get to their goals and
Yeah.
play their favorite sport. But and also thank you for your service also for being
Oh,
a
no problem, no problem. Yeah, I don't really talk about that too much. Um, it's just kind of something that you know you don't talk about it. You just go. It's your job. Fortunate to have that opportunity also with the fire rescue. When baseball, this is important for people that are out there listening. When baseball will come to an end for everybody. The
Yeah.
only man I know that baseball never came an end. There was an end for was Don Zimmer. I think Donnie was in Major League Baseball for 70 years.
Oh my.
70. If anybody's listening out there, that is a long time to do anything. He was in Major League Baseball that long. But, when you're done playing, the door closes very fast. And nobody cares in the real world about what you just did on a field.
Yep.
So when you guys are going to college, make sure that you don't waste your time, especially when somebody else is paying for your classes. Don't waste time and just focus on the athletics.
Yeah.
Get your degree, because then when you're done, the time it doesn't take, you don't lose time. I had to go back to school. I switched my major twice and then went to firefighting. That cost me 7 years of my life. That's too long. I wasted time in college taking BS classes because I'm going to play and it's never going to end, and I'll have, piles of money. But that's all good in theory. But if it does end, now what are you going to do? I have family, I have kids, and the world doesn't wait for anybody. You got to get up on your feet. Nobody feels sorry for you either. Get up, get moving, and make something happen. Baseball is great to me, but like I said at the very beginning, there's a lot more to life than baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm living it now.
I may be skipping class currently to do this interview.
Oh.
So no, nobody take my advice. And I'm not
But
even an athlete.
no, that happens, bro. That happens. We're
It
not
is
all
a
perfect,
it is a journalism class though. I'm pretty sure my teacher would appreciate me talking to a
right?
player. Um,
Definitely.
I have a small question for you.
Hmm.
Did you like the name Devil Rays or just the Rays better?
I like the Rays. I do. You
Hmm.
know, and I think I'm biased to it because as soon as we switched, like, damn, we are so much better. You know what I mean? I don't know, and that's all I can think about is like Devil Rays. It was like, damn, we were getting destroyed, 100 loss season every year. Rays, World Series, right away. So I don't think the devil part, though, makes it bad. I'm not one of those people. I think that the old school jerseys are still super cool, but I'm a Rays person.
Hmm.
Fair, fair.
Wow. Yeah, so before we let you go, would you like to say anything to our fans, and you want to give any shout outs to any people?
Yeah, you know what? Real quick with regards to that, and I thank you for asking. One of my good buddies passed away not long ago.
Sorry,
It
sorry.
was a suicide. He was a Miami-Dade firefighter, Alex Acosta. His wife has started with a great group of people has started a foundation called First Alarm Foundation, and it just brings awareness to mental health. This is a huge issue that not just first responders are dealing with, but that everybody is dealing with. And you know, there's some things that we can do just as human beings to really help this. You don't have to be a doctor, but saying hello to somebody, listening to what they're saying, taking the time, not being so rushed with everybody. It really does go a long way because you don't know what people are going through. When I got this call, um, I could have I could still be guessing who passed away. I didn't think it was going to be this guy. This guy was at the top of his game. He was the best guy around here. He was the flight medic for Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. And he was the guy that everybody turned to. Everybody knew Alex. So check out First Alarm. And like I said, a simple hello. We all need to be in it together.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough, and I know everybody's probably had they're dealing with a situation like this, and if you're not, unfortunately but true, it's probably right around the corner. So look out for one another. That's all we have. We got each other, and you know that's really all I got with that.
Yeah, sorry for your loss, man.
Yeah, no problem.
My condolences.
For sure.
That's
For sure.
great. And if you don't mind me asking, how is everyone else dealing with this right now? The other firefighters and all.
It's a culture that you're kind of programmed to move on. When you lose somebody like that, though, you never heal. I'm along with everybody else. We're no better today than we were day one. You don't get over that, and that's what makes these things sting so bad, is because you don't. There's no positive that comes out of that. Like, oh, this is we're gonna start doing. No, somebody lost their life super early, and nobody heals. You don't heal from that. No one. So obviously you move on because that's what that person would want you to do, but it sticks with you.
Well, there you have it. Shawn Riggans, former Tampa Bay Rays catcher. Go check him out at Kings of Catching on Instagram. Thank you to our fans for tuning in, and Shawn, thank you for joining the show today. Truly,
No problem.
to
No
learn
problem.
more
Thank
about
you.
you. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you guys very much, and happy Thanksgiving.
yeah. Happy
Okay.
Thanksgiving, everyone. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Have a good week, and I'm sure that we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
We'll stay
guys. Take care.
connected. Yeah.
Yes, sir.